Buhari visits Borno State to assess the security situation in the northeast of the country. Elsewhere in Tanzania, the country launches a new gold refinery in the move to boost the local production of the previous metal. All these plus many more stories coming ahead. Do stay with us. I am Fatimata Sisay and a warm welcome to the News at 10. We begin this edition of the news with the presidency because His Excellency the President Adama Barrow, who earlier today received in audience the German Minister for Economic Development and Cooperation, Dr. Gerd Müller, at the State House in Banjul. The federal minister, accompanied by a high-powered delegation, delved on a wide range of issues including health, vocational training and employment. Ibrahim Jala was at the State House and prepared this report.
The German minister and delegation drove to the State House in low-key affair and were led to the President's office by the Gambian Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources, James Gomez. Gerd Müller, the German Minister for Economic Development and Cooperation, discussed various cooperation and support agreements with the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow. The closed-door meeting focused mainly on health, migration and employment. In this regard, the German government pledges some €10 million support to the Gambia.
Germany is going to support Gambia with additional €10 million, especially for health and the fight against the pandemic. And they both also talked about job creation, vocational training, also to lower the incentive to migrate and to have job opportunities here in Gambia.
The visiting German minister and delegation acknowledge and appreciate the democratic transformation ushered in by the Gambia government under President Adama Barrow. Ibrahim Jallo, GRTS News.
Meanwhile, the German Federal Minister for Economic Development and Cooperation earlier on Wednesday visited the COVID-19 treatment center formerly called Nemban Clinic in Bakau. The Federal Minister was accompanied by a team of health experts and diplomats who were received by the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmadou Lamine Samate, and head of the COVID-19 treatment center. Dr. Gerd Müller, who was on an inspection tour of this center, assured Germany's commitment to help the Gambia in the fight against COVID-19. Baba Silla tells us more.
This center used to be the so-called traditional treatment center of the exiled former president. Now it has been fully renovated by TAF Africa Global with support from the UNDP, World Bank and other UN agencies in the country for use as a major COVID-19 hospital. The visit by the German minister and a team of health experts is another opportunity for the country to establish a strong partnership for support to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Gerd Müller and his delegation were welcomed by the health minister, Dr. Lamine Samate, at the Demban Hospital alongside top UN officials. The dignitaries were led by the head of the treatment center, Dr. Abubakar Jan, for an official inspection tour of the new hospital. The federal minister underscored Germany's commitment to support the Gambia in the fight against COVID-19 and what he called the poly pandemic.
We will support Gambia in the fight against this poly pandemic. Today, he is with me by sending experts from the German epidemic preparedness team. Where is our guy? Yeah, from Germany, welcome. He is expert, will work together with your experts, and we will support you by sending in medical supplies. And this, we do it by supporting the work of ECOWAS, the Organization on Pandemic Prevention. We support this medical supply and support the work of ECOWAS on pandemic with 17 million to the stabilization fund.
Dr. Müller also outlined Germany's plan to support the Gambia in planning and strengthening national healthcare covering the entire country. The federal minister said Germany will also help Africa to establish production facilities in the country while assuring a fair distribution of COVID vaccines to poor nations.
We are ready as I already mentioned, to provide additional 5 plus 5, that means 10 million euro for the epidemic center here, WHO, it's called, center here in Gambia. That is a center of excellence, like this center here. And that is what Germany is offering directly. And we support a lot of other measures of the European Union.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samata, commended the delegation for the visit, saying it will strengthen the existing cooperation between the two countries.
Around you, and it shows your concern for the entire world. COVID-19 time is not an easy time to travel. So for you to have such a delegation, leave your families at home to come to the Gambia and other African countries will always be remembered. But it has a long tradition, a tradition of Gambia, Germany partnering with other developing countries to have a common cause for humanity, to advance humanity, to work towards socio-economic development, good governance, and moving forward.
From Banjul, the delegation will also visit Dakar, Senegal to see the country's new COVAX production facility. For GRTS News, I am Baba Silla.
Next, the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Touré, has been attending the Africa Investment Forum in Turkey, a convergence of African investors and policymakers designed to explore business opportunities from both sides as well as mitigate the challenges of COVID-19, which also comes with economic challenges. Dr. Aissatou Touré was accompanied by a high-powered delegation, including cabinet ministers and members of the business community. Louis Mendy traveled with the team and prepared this report.
By a high-powered delegation from Banjul, Vice President Dr. Aissatou Touré was the guest speaker at the Africa Invest Forum in Turkey. The platform brought together African investors and their Turkey counterparts, as well as policymakers. The idea is to promote and strengthen collaboration and existing opportunities in Africa and Turkey to make available a platform for government representatives, investors, private sector representatives, and financial institutions from Turkey and Africa to explore business opportunities in both sides, as well as mitigate the challenges of the COVID-19, which undermines economic prospects.
At the center of this relationship is trade and commerce that stems back as far as centuries ago during the Empire days. This relationship was further consolidated after the Gambia gained her independence in 1965. Today, more than ever, we need to strengthen this relationship and get creative about how we build our resilience and economic prosperity through trade and investment.
Speaking at the forum, Vice President Dr. Aissatou Touré said the 2020 African Invest Forum, themed Boosting Economic and Trade Cooperation with Turkey, is relevant as the Gambia and the rest of Africa continues to invest on more business-friendly environment in anticipation of the market integration that has the potentials to convert the continent into the biggest market in the world.
We should therefore focus on looking at businesses that are ready to cater for the needs of our time by focusing on untapped potentials that lies in closer bilateral relationship between Turkey and Africa especially. The Gambia chairperson, I have seen sectors that are of priority for this event, such as infrastructure, energy, mines, health, tourism, agriculture and fisheries, education, logistics, and transport, to name a few. May I inform you that these are all part of the priority sector of the Gambia Investment and Export Promotion Act 2015. Under this act, investment under these priority sectors attract incentives such as tax holiday.
Vice President Dr. Aissatou Touré told delegates at the meeting that the Africa Invest Forum highlighted the ambitious goal of the Gambia Development Blueprint, which is the National Development Plan, and the Barrow government will continue to support and tap from the opportunities it presents.
My country, the Gambia, has also developed a national implementation strategy for the African Continental Free Trade Area that is anchored on our National Development Plan, the NTB, and other economic blueprints in our quest to leverage on the opportunities that comes with the AFTA. We revived the National Business Council chaired by myself in my capacity as the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia. We as a government and the people of the Gambia always put the issue of job creation at the center of such forum because we believe that job creation is of utmost importance that will build better future generations for Africa with our demographic division of the young people.
Among the Gambian delegates that accompanied Vice President Dr. Issa Toure was Mrs. Fabure, the Agriculture Minister, who recognized the importance of the meeting.
As a Ministry of Agriculture, I think we'll benefit a lot from this investment forum because we are able to meet investors who are interested to come to the country to invest in agriculture, especially rice production, and also to process some of these mangoes, cashews, so on. Yeah.
Fatoumata Jawara, the CEO of the Math Foundation, also participated in the forum as one of the Gambian representatives from the business group.
We are able to come and meet with Turkish investors. As you know, the Gambia is a growing country and we need to collaborate with countries like Turkey, and definitely it was a very good opportunity because we were able to interact and have B2Bs with different companies that we can work on for the best interest of Gambian businesses, because the development of a country lies on the hands of the private community. And if the private community is empowered by the government, I think that's a very big success and the way forward.
The Africa Invest Forum is one of the most concrete and important steps of the value Turkey attaches to African countries and its efforts to develop and deepen the relations with the continent. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
In the National Malaria Control Program of the Ministry of Health has taken delivery of a fogging machine from the Rotary Club International and partners. The move is designed to step up the department's vector control program and the rollback malaria campaign. The ceremony was graced by the First Lady, Madam Fatoumata Barbaro. Senebu Jan picks up the rest of the story.
Seattle Rotary Club International, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the Malaria Partners International presented 2 fogging machines to the National Malaria Control Program for the eradication of mosquitoes that cause malaria. Regional Health Director Western 1, Alaji Sankare, spoke on the progress made in tackling malaria.
We've seen a lot of positive outcomes in the activities that we have been implementing. And despite the fact that when one conducts a survey in this country to find out the level of awareness in the country, yes, one would say there is a maximum, level of, knowledge within the population. But yet still, as we go through the statistics at the health facility level, you will realize that there are still some pockets of cases of malaria that we are seeing in our health facility delivery system.
Jama Aksalam presented a play on the importance of fogging machines and mosquito insecticide nets.
yow nijaay xoolal sa wax bi sax dina tax madame takk sànk bi léegi yow nijaay yow lan la yow xanaa xamoo sànk bi boo ko takkee da ngay musal sa bopp ci malaria yow xam nga loolu muy def.
kon yow gëm nga ne malaria yow moo koy joxe yow.
daf la laalagul moo tax mënoo koo góob.
yow lan moo tax ngay tëdd ci sànk yow. alaaji nag dinaa la xamal leen jamono ji toll nii gis nga boo tëddul ci sànk bi boo ci tëddul malaria mën na lay rey.
The long journey of securing these 2 fogging machines has finally ended, said Chairperson of the Rotary District 9101 Subcommittee on Malaria Control, Dr. Emma Bruce, as she reinforced their support to government efforts.
We Rotary feel it necessary to complement government's efforts in malaria prevention, because malaria is very important. People don't realize that it's a disease that can kill. We focus on diabetes, hypertension, cancer, but in Africa, malaria is one of the most deadliest diseases, so we have to pay attention to it. We saw what COVID did Although malaria has not surprised us, it's been here for many years, but we still have to pay attention to it. So that's why we feel it necessary to help out with these fogging machines. So now what's more important is that we need insecticides for these machines. So appealing to other government agencies, private organizations to also step forward and help provide the insecticides needed.
Traditional Gambian songs were sang to emphasize messages on malaria prevention. Mohamed J. Jabang outlined the importance of fogging machines.
The few benefits that are important for this occasion includes the following: the protection of human health from insects and other pests that host disease-causing organisms, the suppression of nuisances causing pests, crop protection and crop yield promotion, as well as vegetation, promotion of food security, and the protection of other organisms, including endangered species, from pests.
These fogging machines, according to health officials, will not only kill mosquitoes and other insects, but will also be used as disinfectants. The Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmadu Lamin Samate, said the machines will go a long way in eliminating malaria in the Gambia.
As we launch these two fogging machines, I urge you to join me in marking the successes in the fight against malaria in the Gambia, which symbolizes our collective commitment to end malaria and the resolve of the leadership to step up the fight to get us closer to a malaria-free world. With the launching of these fogging machines, our ministry will now embark on outdoor spraying of mosquitoes and other insects in order to eliminate the vector out of the population.
The ribbons were cut by the First Lady, Fatoumata Barrow, and the Minister of Health, and they also displayed the fogging machine after the official launch ceremony. Zainabu Jain for GRTS News.
We're going to stay with health matters because we're going to look at this dispatch from the Ministry of Health, which informs the public that the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine is out of stock in the country. However, the ministry wishes to reassure those who receive the first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine and are eligible for the second dose that they will subsequently receive their due dose as soon as it becomes available. Now, it's important to note that any delay in receiving the second dose, the release adds, would not have any negative consequences on individuals and therefore would not need to start fresh the vaccination. The ministry advises people to maintain and strictly keep their vaccination cards safe, as those who receive the first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine would not need to receive a different vaccine apart from AstraZeneca. In a similar development, the public is informed that the Medicine Control Agency of the Gambia has given authorization for use of the Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine following World Health Organization's approval of the vaccine under the emergency use listing, given the green light for the vaccine to be rolled out globally. Therefore, the Ministry of Health plans to roll out the Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine from the 5th of July 2021. For one to be fully protected with the vaccine, individuals need to receive 2 doses at an interval of 3 to 4 weeks. The vaccine will be rolled out in the country, first starting in West Coast and the Greater Banjul areas. The vaccination exercise will take place in health facilities, different strategic locations within communities and other identified areas. Well, for further information, you can contact them on 1025. Now we are from the press release to security matters, as the Operation Zero Crime, in a joint string of operations, has arrested a group of dealers involved in the production of fake dollar notes. Now the joint task force team during their raid confiscated an amount of $57,000 from the counterfeiters. The disclosure was made to journalists at the police headquarters in Banjul during the weekly media briefing. By Abrim Cham tells us more.
Giving the latest update on the progress and challenges of Operation Zero Crime Task Force, the Police Public Relations Officer, Superintendent Lamin Jai, stated that from the 7th to the 15th of June, the police made 116 arrests with charges ranging from going armed in public, possession of suspected illegal substances, and possession of suspected stolen property.
And during the course of the screening, we've realized that 23 out of the number were not connected to any offense, and so they were released. Again, part of this number, we have 35 people who are immigration-related matters, and they are being handed over to the Gambia Immigration Department for further processing and necessary actions as well. Then 19 of these individuals are handed over to the Drug Law Enforcement Agency because their cases are also related to drug matters. And the Gambia Police Force is processing about 31 of them, and already as we speak, about 8 has been put before the court, and their cases, their trials have started already.
The youth bracket, however, is mostly involved in crime according to statistics by the police. This is also backed by the heavy influence of drugs causing violent crimes. On behalf of the border control agents, the immigration PRO, Mamanding Diba, mentioned that the individuals arrested are foreign undocumented nationals. He further cautioned the public that anyone caught harboring or renting property to an undocumented migrant will face the full force of the law. He also spoke on the 37 migrants intercepted on their way to the Canary Islands, in which stories of immigration officers have allegedly connived with agents to rob migrants of their monies.
These are sad revelations. These are very sad accusations that we do not only found misleading, but we also find them baseless, and in fact, misleading in totality.
On the subject of the election, the police PRO has some very important message for the public.
Gambia Police Force, we want to send strong message to all political parties, especially to their leaderships, to implore on their followers to desist from using military or security outfits accompanied with party logos during their activities in the campaign or during the electoral process or any other stage of the political activities that we are heading to.
The climax of the briefing was when Superintendent Buba Sise from the Ford Department showed the press a fake counterfeit machine, which the police say was confiscated a week ago. Superintendent Sise explained how the police arrested 5 individuals of different nationalities. The fake machine, he said, was used to trick people in believing that they can use black paper, which is rumored to be used to printing counterfeit bank notes. However, the suspects charged their clients large sums of money to purchase the chemicals to print the money.
They will invite you, claiming their body, the chemical. So they will use this machine or this equipment. Actually, it's not a machine because it is locally made. They will load this with money prior to your coming. So once you come, they will take this money, this black paper. They will insert the black paper here in this hole, and then they will press this red button here. And once they press this button, money will come out of this other hole, and it will be money different from this black paper. Even though it is counterfeit, but it's still money, and then you get convinced because it is already loaded. So once the paper, the money they load in is exhausted, they will tell you that the machine has a problem. So they need to hire a technician to come and work on the machine. That's the second part of the scam.
The police PRO revealed that the police has confiscated $57,000 of fake banknotes and has sent it to the Central Bank of the Gambia for further examination. Reporting for GRTS News, I'm by Ibrahim Chan.
Let's shift your attention to this communique from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and the Gambians abroad of the Republic of the Gambia, because it's informing the public that the United States Center for Disease Control has issued a Level 1 travel health notice for the Gambia in its recent global risk assessment level for COVID-19. But the Level 1 tier is the lowest risk of the 4 tiered risk levels, with 4 being highest, based on the Level 1 travel health notice. The U.S. Center for Disease Control has advised U.S. citizens who are visiting or planning to visit the Gambia to exercise normal precautions while in the Gambia. Now, it could be recalled that the U.S. Center for Disease Control has initially issued the Gambia with a Level 3 notice in August 2020, and U.S. citizens were advised to reconsider their travel to the Gambia. Well, the Center for Disease Control periodically ranks countries at various COVID-19 risk levels based on new COVID-19 infection numbers, hospitalization statistics, among other things. Now, during the reclassification of 7 June 2021, 60 countries were at Level 4, very high risk, 64 countries at Level 3, high risk, 21 countries at Level 2, moderate risk, and 52 countries at Level 1, level risk. Well, in light of the foregoing, the government of the Gambia wishes to commend the Ministry of Health and all the healthcare workers for their professionalism and sacrifice in mitigating the pandemic. In the same vein, the government of the Gambia wishes to register its gratitude to the public for being vigilant and adhering to safety protocols. The government of the Gambia wishes to thank its international partners for the continued support and assistance in containing the pandemic. Now, it should be noted that this pandemic poses a real threat to lives and livelihoods, and therefore individuals must remain vigilant and continue to abide by public health protocols. The release ends. Elsewhere, some food security efforts now, as the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres is scheduled to convene a food system summit in September 2021 as part of the decade of action to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Well, ahead of that all-important summit, series of dialogues have been taking place nationally and regionally to preview the global forum. Our Janke Toure witnessed the closing ceremony of one of those dialogues in agribusiness, and this is our report.
The UN Food Systems Summit aims to launch bold new actions to transform the way the world produces and consumes food as part of the decade of action to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. A number of Food Systems Summit dialogues underway leading up to the summit, including member states dialogues organized by respective national governments. The outcomes of these will be used in developing pathways to sustainable food systems and a valuable contribution to the various work streams in preparing for the summit. At the just concluded national dialogue, as Gambia prepares, private sector actors in agribusiness also team up to prepare recommendations for the summit at the end of a two-day meeting.
As what they call a low-income food deficit country, and that's what we are. The second Sustainable Development Goal, which is SDG 2, which is to zero hunger goal, that's to end hunger, end malnutrition, double agricultural activity, have a sustainable food systems, and protecting our genetic resources. We are affected by all this, so we have to do something, and a plan, a roadmap, something that will lead us to overcoming all this food insecurity and malnutrition and low productivity. We have to overcome this. So we're interested as a country.
The recommendations, as stated by Musa Sehumbenga, creator of the National Food Dialogue, will serve as a solution to transform the country's food system by 2030.
They have come up with certain recommendations which we will take and put together with the recommendations from the other working groups and the regional dialogues to come up with a document which will be a pathway to achieving sustainable food security by 2030, which the Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Ami Fabre, who is the convener of these dialogues, will take to a pre-summit in July in Rome.
Among key recommendations put forward during the meeting is the need for the participation of farmers, both at national and regional levels, establishing agricultural banks, providing of adequate equipment, amongst others.
We are talking about the lack of a testing lab in the Gambia, because when you talk about food, you must be able to ensure food safety. And how can you ensure the safety of our food if we don't have any lab where we can be testing the food? So that is very crucial for us. We are talking about also storage for food, We understand that all these food silos, there are only 3 of them in the country, and that is not sufficient. And the food that can be stored can only last for 3 months.
This recommendation gathered by the 4 thematic groups will now be presented to the Minister of Agriculture, Ami Fabure, who will be traveling to Rome in July for the pre-summit ahead of the September Food Summit in New York this year. Janket Toure, GRTS News.
Welcome back to the news. Now, the Gambia Chamber of Commerce on Wednesday organized its 2nd edition of the National Startups Forum for Emerging Business Owners at a local hotel in Kololi. Well, the theme for the event is adopting new realities, the evolution of startups. Aissatou Jata Gassama tells us more.
The Gambia Chamber of Commerce, in its drive to promote, safeguard and provide services, knowledge and resources to the Gambian business community for future generations, has staged its latest activity designed to advocate and advance the interests of startups in a 2-day forum. Aliu Seka, the CEO, GCCI.
The Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry is particularly also pleased to continue its partnership with CAS, which gives you opportunities for our youth, women, and certainly experienced entrepreneurs making a new livelihood or changing career. To one, uplift our livelihoods, give us more hope and prosperity here on our own shores in the Gambia.
Seka, however, highlighted some of the challenges confronting the startups in the country.
Based on startup financing statistics collected from over 3,000 people throughout UK, nothing strange and similar to the Gambia, finance continue to be the biggest challenge for all budding and exciting entrepreneurs. Of course, the second largest barrier reported in startup funding was knowledge, which accounts for about 17%, followed by confidence, 9%, legal restrictions and limitations, 5%, ideas, about 4%, time, and finally, customers.
These young startups were drawn through panel discussions and presentations, key among which was a panel on digitizing businesses and road to establishing startups. Members were later exposed to a presentation on intellectual property, copyrights and trademark for business in the Gambia. Abdoulaye Toure from Sahel graced the occasion as a motivational speaker.
Chances of you seeing what the Gambia has done before your generation should serve as food for thought. Today, all of us are preoccupied with fighting for human rights. But our forefathers were preoccupied with fighting for economic rights. And that is how we gain independence. The first riots that were held in the Gambia was led by the Gambia Labor Union, the late A.E. Cham Diouf. And that riot was called the Bread and Butter Strike. They were fighting for bread and butter. Today, we are fighting for human rights. If you have human rights, you want economic rights. If you have economic rights, you want political rights. If you have political rights, you want civil rights. So it's a cycle.
GCCI is the National Chamber of Commerce representing the Gambia business community, founded in 1967 with the aim to facilitate business development, promote trade and advance the interests of the country's business locally and beyond. For the news, I am Aissatou Jata Gassama.
As part of efforts to implement its community empowerment programs, Tostan, a local NGO operating in rural Gambia, has organized a 2-day seminar for technical advisory committees, chief executive officers and local government authorities. The move is to share their activity plan for the year 2021 and 2022 respectively. Modu Lamin Sane tells us more.
Members of the Technical Advisory Committee in the Central River region have gathered yet again to interface with members of Tostan on their new community empowerment programs and interventions in the region. The stakeholder meeting organized by Tostan is seen as a crucial gathering to enlighten officials about Tostan's CRR Scale-Up Program Strategy 2021-2022.
This will definitely help us in terms of planning, in terms of our strategy, in terms of our outreach, amongst others. We have several social mobilization approaches within our program, but this is one of them, so that everybody will be at least at par, whether we are working in the area where you are, being it a district or a ward. But then as regional authorities, it's important that you understand the work of Tostan, what we are doing, how far we are, because at the field level, as development workers, we always collaborate at that level.
The main objective of the program is anchored on sharing Tostan's activity plan with TAG members on the best approach to implement activities in targeted communities.
This is a continual monitoring system, and any system that is continuously being monitored during its implementation, automatically and obviously you must register a success. It's common knowledge. By the engagement of the people who are implementing or who are the beneficiaries of the project, continually engaging them tells you where you are having deficit, where you are having a shortfall, where you need to improve, how best you are doing. So we should not be naive, in the sense that if somebody is doing quite well, tell him, you are doing very well, we need to improve this, we need to improve. Before you can tell me, do A, B, C, and D, tell me you have done C, D, and E excellently. Then telling me to do A, B, and C accurately or properly, you are definitely going to be right in saying or mentioning that.
The idea also focuses on sharing Tostan's theory of social change with all partners and institutions in the Central River region, with a view to hearing feedbacks and recommendations that will help improve community empowerment initiatives. Modu Lamin Sane reporting for GRTS News from the Central River region.
Aid International Gambia, in partnership with the Rural Women Assembly, All Gambia Forestry Platform, Catholic Relief Service, United Purpose and Activists of the Gambia continued their advocacy campaign on climate change in provincial Gambia, sensitizing the people of the Upper River region on the issue, and the caravan is funded by the European Union. Our regional correspondent Seydou Kamara tells us more.
The caravan tour is championed by Action Aid International, the Gambia, and its partners to discuss with communities and local authorities the impact of climate change and find means of mitigating its menace. The top party visited hard-to-reach areas to raise awareness on the devastating effects of climate change. In the Upper River region, the caravan team had a brief stop at Kundama Fati, where community members and local authorities had the chance to contribute and share ideas that are aimed at addressing the environmental effects of climate change. The project coordinator, Empowering Civil Society Organization Action Aid International, the Gambia, Sayo Kamara, explained the rationale behind the caravan tour and as well share their impression with GRTS.
The whole idea is to empower civil society organizations to go back to the communities and then collect demands that will be shared in the future during our advocacy meetings with parliamentarians, with other policymakers and also other line ministries. And I'm hopeful that something will come out of it. When it comes to climate change, it's a collective responsibility. We should all put our hands on deck to understand that if we don't join hands, we cannot forge ahead. Therefore, I'm calling on the community people, I'm calling on local authorities, I'm calling on the youth, the women, everybody. We should all knock our heads together to ensure that we mitigate the effects of climate change. It has been a successful caravan because we were able to go to our target communities, and we were able to have people to listen to us, especially when it comes to the contributions from the governors. I think it's really, really a great parade with women and the youths.
Assistant Communication Officer and activist at the Gambia, Amadou Jallo, noted that the exercise has availed them the opportunity to interact with community members who are directly affected by the effects of climate change.
When we talk about climate change, it's a broad area because it doesn't only affect the environment, but it also, when we talk about climate change, you look at the women's side also, it also affects them because they are the ones at the gardens, they are the ones at homes. When there is no water, they struggle more to feed the family. So this is why we also try to, the caravan is also empowering women to come out and voice out their pain and give recommendations, not only to say what is paining you, but also give recommendations. What do you think the government can do to mitigate these issues?
A representative from the Rural Women Assembly and a member of All Gambia Forestry Platform, Kumba Sanyan and Nafin Jabi, respectively called for collective responsibility in the fight against climate change. The Dua called on the people of URL to avoid bushfires, cutting down trees, and charcoal harvesting in order to protect the forest cover. At the end of the program, the third party is expected to submit a recommendation to the regional and national authorities for implementation. Officials also call on community members to protect the environment, to avoid deforestation and forest degradation. Seydou Camara, reporting for GRTS News from Basse, Upper River Region.
The report by Seydou Camara takes us to a break. The news continues in a moment. Do stay tuned.
You kept me waiting. I'm sorry. I was stuck in traffic. You know how the traffic is. How have you been? Looks like you're in a hurry though. I have this movie that I don't want to miss. Don't worry. With Afri TV, you can watch your movie anywhere and at any time. Really?
Download Afri TV app and watch your favorite TV channels anywhere, anytime.
And I'll show you this application. There are so many channels. Okay.
Just dial *222# to subscribe and buy special data bundles at a cheaper price. AfriCell makes life easier.
TAF Africa Global is the first and biggest private estate developer in the Gambia and present in 7 other African countries. We take pride in leading innovation in all spheres of real estate sector in the Gambia and beyond. As such, we are launching the development of the first smart and modern office and retail towers in the Gambia called TAF Twins. The TAF Twins is located in the heart of the Kanifing institutional area and 10 minutes drive away from Banjul. TAF Twins is designed to have 5 floors of office spaces ranging from 50 square meters to over 1,000 square meters with 2 elevators, central air conditioning, 24 hours electricity and water supply, with the ground floor reserved for banking, supermarket, restaurant and coffee shop. For your bookings and reservations, please call now on 376-2333 or 776-2333. Thank you.
Look at our top stories now before we wrap up this edition of the news. President Barrow has received in audience the German Federal Minister for Economic Development and Cooperation at State House in Banjul. Promoting Africa-Turkey investments, Vice President Dr. Aysatu Toure returned to Banjul after attending the Africa Invest Forum in Istanbul, Turkey. Fake currency dealers have been busted by operatives of the Operation Zero Crime Unit with a staggering $57,000 fake notes. In internationals, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari has visited Borno State to assess the security situation in the northeast. Elsewhere, Tanzania has launched a new gold refinery in a move to boost the production of the precious metal locally. Well, that was all in this edition of the News at 10 with me, Fatmata Sise, and we have the entire news team. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Do stay safe.
this season on Kelfatu. Fatu. Oli.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
When we touch down, better broke down.